Hi guys, it's Kimberly with the Caffeinated Snail, and today I'm going to show you how to make basic crochet stitches. So today we're going to go over the foundational crochet stitches. So I'll show you how to make a slip knot, chains, single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, slip stitches, as well as a magic ring to help you out. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is grab any type of yarn. So today I'm going to be using this beautiful blue color yarn. You could use any kind. I am using worsted weight, that it has a fairly smooth texture on it, so it's not super fuzzy, so that you could clearly see the stitches. If you are new, I would try to stay away from fuzzy yarns as well as bulky yarns like blanket yarn, because that can distort your stitches. So if you're not familiar with them, this is probably the best yarn to use. Any type of brand will work, but this is the one that I will be using. So we're going to start by first making a slip knot. So what I like to do is I just like to grab my yarn, make sure that there's a decent like 5-6 inches for a tail, and then I like to pinch my yarn together. I don't like them to overlap, but just pinch it there at the base. And then I like to take that tail that we left, and I like to swing it around the loop. So it's a loop that now has a loop going across like its waist, essentially. So you have a vertical loop and a horizontal loop. Then you're going to take the tail and you're going to tuck it into that circle. Okay, so you want to hold onto the vertical loop with your 2 fingers, and then you want to take that tail and slip it through the horizontal loop. Okay, and then now you want to pull. And there you have a slip knot. This is perfect for making chains as you're beginning. So now that we have this giant loop, you know you've made it correctly when you can tighten it around your hook. Right now I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. You could use any hook size, but generally that 4 to 6 millimeter hook is great for beginners because it won't be too tight or too loose, so you could see your stitches. Just remember to use the crochet hook that is recommended for your yarn. So generally that's going to be about a 4 to 6 for the worsted weight yarn. So now that we have a slip knot on our hook, I am going to show you how you can hold your yarn. So there's many different ways to hold your leading yarn. Some people kind of hold it like this and feed it. So they just wrap it and then they pull through. You want to make sure your tension is even, and I know that sometimes that can be a little difficult. So what I like to do is I just like to wrap it around my finger twice. That works really great for me. I know some people like to wrap it around like their pinky and then over like their index finger. So it really depends on what you want. Like you should practice with it, see other videos, see how other people are holding it, just to see how you can hold your yarn. The reason why we hold our yarn is for tension reasons. So you want to do what's comfortable for you, but then also you want to make sure that it does give you even tension, like you could feel the yarn evenly go across your hand, feeding your yarn into your crochet project. Otherwise you're going to have uneven crochet stitches. So now that we have that figured out, we can start making our chains. So we're going to then, with our slip knot on our hook, we're going to yarn over. Okay, by bringing the yarn over our hook, it's called a yarn over. Sometimes you'll see it written as YO in crochet patterns if you're trying to read crochet patterns, but it just means to bring your yarn over your hook like that. And now we are going to then take that yarn that we just yarned over, and we're going to hook it on our top of our crochet hook, and we're going to slip it through, and we should have a loop on our hook. So we're going to yarn over again, and then we're going to take that and go through the loop one more time. You want to make sure that you are having that even tension, but also making sure that your stitches are the same and that you are not accidentally hooking your yarn. Okay, so we're just going to create some more chains. Okay, you could do this for as long as you want. You can make 25 for, say, a crochet scarf, or you can do, 300 if you're looking to do a blanket. It really just depends on how big your project is that you want to do. So I have a decent amount of chains now. So now we're going to go and learn our next stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make a single crochet as our next one. This next stitch that you want to do, you're actually not going to work in the chain closest to your hook. You want to work in the second chain from your hook. Okay, so to do this, you're just going to insert your hook through the top loop of that chain, so the second chain from the hook. You're going to yarn over, like I said before, and then you're going to take that yarn and you're going to go through that loop that you went through. So you're going to pull your yarn through, and then you're going to yarn over again, and then you're going to go through the 2 loops on your hook. So with a chain, you should have 1 loop on your hook, and when you're making a single crochet, you should have 2 loops on your hook. So let's do that again. So we're going to go through the next chain, just through the top loop, and then we're going to yarn over, we're going to pull through the loop, and then we're going to yarn over again, and then we're going to pull through both loops. Okay, so that is how you do a single crochet. You're just going to keep on doing this for as long as your chain will allow you, so as long as you have your chain. As you can see, I just finished that last single crochet on that chain. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to yarn over and pull through that loop. Okay, so I just chained 1, and then I am going to turn my work over, or flip it over, really. So this is like the back of the single crochets that you worked on. This is the front. And then this is how you are going to start the next row if you're going to make more rows. So you're going to then go through the top 2 loops. As you can see, there are 2 loops made at the top of your stitch. You want to go through both of those. Okay, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, go through both loops. Okay, so you want to go through both of the top stitches so that your single crochets are nice and flat against each other. Okay, there are going to be some patterns where it tells you to go through the front loop, which is just the first loop on your single crochet stitch. Okay, so if this is the way that it's going to be looking towards me, the front loop is just this one, so you're not going to go through the back loop. You just want to go through the front one. And then there are some patterns where it says go through the back loop only, and you're going to skip this front loop right here, and you're actually just going to go through the back loop. And what that does is it creates a line in your work. Let me see if I could do a couple back loops for you of just single crochets, just to show you what it would look like. Because the front loop is similar, but it'll create the line on the back side and not the front side. So here I just did about 4 stitches of back loop only in single crochet, and you could see that there is that line there right here that you don't see in these stitches, because that is the front loop that you kind of like didn't use at all. This also makes your work a little stretchier, so it's great for like if you're making beanies or ribbing on cardigans when you get to that point in your crochet journey. Alright, so now I have another small chain here. I have about 12, and I'm going to show you how to do double crochet now. Okay, so you just want to do the slip knot and chains like we did at the beginning of this video, and then you're going to skip not just the first chain, but you're going to skip the 2 chains. Some patterns tell you to skip 3, and that's totally fine. It just depends on the pattern that you're using, but generally for me, when I'm making double crochets, I just skip 2 chains versus 3. Now this one is going to be a little different than making the single crochet stitches, not only because you are skipping the first 2 chains, but you're actually going to yarn over your hook before inserting it into that 3rd stitch from the hook. So yarn over, insert it into that 3rd stitch or chain from the hook, yarn over, and then pull through that chain loop, and now you have 3 loops on your hook, just like that. So then you're going to yarn over, go through only 2 loops, make sure it's only 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to go through the next 2 loops. Just like that. So that is a double crochet stitch. It should be about twice the size of a single crochet stitch. So to do it again, I'll show you. Just yarn over, go through the next stitch or the chain, and then you want to yarn over, pull through that stitch, then yarn over, and then go through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then go through the next 2 loops. So you want to repeat that process for the entire row of just yarning over, inserting into the chain, yarning over, pulling through, and then going through 2 loops at a time. Alright, so now I am done with that row of double crochets. You can see how much taller they are from the single crochets. So now to turn to get onto your next row, what you're going to do is you're going to chain 2, so yarn over, go through the loop, yarn over, go through the loop, and then you want to flip your work over, okay? And so now you're going to skip these 2 chains, and you're going to make a double crochet in that last double crochet that you made. Okay, so you want to yarn over, insert your hook through that top of the double crochet stitch, both the front and back, and then yarn over, pull through the loop, the stitch, yarn over, and then go through the 2 loops, yarn over, go through the 2 loops. So you want to yarn over, go through the top 2 loops from the top of the crochet stitches. Okay, it looks like a little braid. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through the top of the stitch, yarn over, go through the 2 stitches, the 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. Okay, so that is how you do double crochet. Again, you could do like, depending on the pattern, it will ask if you want to just do normal double crochet like what we're doing, or sometimes it'll ask for like that front loop only or back loop only that we discussed when we were doing the single crochet stitches. But when you get done with row number 2, you just want to make sure that you're not adding any other stitches at all, because it can be tricky because of those extra chains there. So sometimes for beginners, I always tell them to use stitch markers or to just double check your counts while you're working. But this is what it should look like 2 rows into making your double crochet. And then to turn, you just want to chain 2 and then flip your work again. The next stitch that we will be learning is the half double crochet. So you now know how to do the single crochet as well as double crochet. So the half double crochet is a stitch that is somewhere in between both. To do it, you want to start with your chains, and then you want to skip that first chain, the one closest to your hook, and start in your second chain. But before we start, like how we do our single crochet, we just go into the stitch. Before we do that, we're actually going to yarn over like what we do in the double crochet stitch, and then we are going to insert it into that second stitch, yarn over again, pull through this chain, and now we should have 3 loops on your hook. From there, we're going to yarn over, And instead of going through 2 loops and then yarning over and going through the 2 loops on our hook like we would a double crochet, we're actually just going to have that yarn over, go through all 3 loops on our hook. Okay, so again, you want to yarn over, go into the chain, the next chain, yarn over, pull through the chain, then yarn over and go through all 3 loops on the hook. This is a great stitch to know because sometimes you want something that works up faster than a single crochet, but it is not as stretchy or as holey as a double crochet. So like blankets or sweaters, half double crochet is a great stitch to know. Okay, so I am just going through every chain and making a half double crochet. Okay, so I just finished my row of half double crochets, as you can see here, and what I'm going to do to start the next row is I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to make just 1 chain. Some people like to chain 2, I like to do 1 just because it creates a tighter edge. I know if you do 2 with half double crochets it can bubble out a little bit more, so that's just what I like to do as preference. So then we start our half double crochets in that first stitch, so not the chain but the last stitch that we worked in, so yarn over and then go through both of those loops that I mentioned before at the top, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, yarn over and go through all 3 loops on your hook. I love the half double crochet stitch. I'm just going to create a couple more because I use this mainly for my hats. I live in a pretty dominantly cold area, so I like to have my winter hats be made from half double crochet versus single crochet, just so that I could have them worked up quicker, but also not as holey as double crochet because I do not want the wind to attack my head. The half double crochet is quite snuggly. Okay, as you can see, that is what it looks like. So when I make my half double crochets, like for hats, I usually just do back loop only every other row because it makes it stretchy. But as you can see, when I stretch here, there's little holes, but they're not too big comparatively to double crochet. But this is just the half double crochet, just normally going through both of the loops at the top. All right, so now that we know how to make chains, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet for rows, let's learn how to do it in the round. So this is a very tricky step, but I'm going to show you how I make a magic ring. I've never had them come undone, but I know that sometimes if you do them incorrectly, they can come undone in projects, which can be kind of sad, especially if you put in a whole bunch of different work into it. But this is just how I do it. There's multiple ways to make magic rings, so it just depends on your preference on how you make it. So if you can't follow this part of the tutorial, feel free to reach out to other creators and see what they have for making a magic ring. So the magic ring is also called a magic circle. So you might see them written like as an MC or MR in projects. So just putting that out there if you're trying to read a crochet pattern. So how I start my magic ring is I am going to pinch the yarn in my left hand between my thumb and my index finger. Then what I like to do is wrap the yarn inwards. So I like to then wrap it around my 3 fingers, lift my thumb, and then I like to place my thumb back on that starting part of the yarn. And now I have my leading yarn on the inside versus the outside. So now that I have that, I don't want them to be crossed at all at this point. I just like to hold on to them. Okay, so now I'm going to take my hook and I am going to go through the loop, the first loop that I have on my hook, and I am going to, it's a little shadowy, so I'm hoping I can do this so you can see it. I'm going to grab my leading yarn with my hook, and I'm going to pull it under the loop. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to take it, kind of stretch it out a little bit, not too much, maybe by ½ inch or so. And I'm going to carefully take the magic ring off my fingers by pinching my starting point where my thumb was with my right hand, and then slipping it off of my fingers. So it should look something like this. So now you're gonna wrap your yarn around your hand while maintaining that pinch on your on your right hand for the magic ring. And now you're gonna pull it a little tighter. So now you have like this loop on your hook. Okay, just one. So you're gonna yarn over and you're gonna pull through that loop. And there is your magic ring. So that is how you make a magic ring. I like to crochet over the tail while I am working, and then pulling it tight so that I have a very snug magic ring. I know some people who like to do the double magic ring where you wrap around your hand twice. You have 2 circles, and then you have like, then you go under both of those with your leading yarn. But this is just how I do it. I've never had them come undone, but never say never. Okay, so now that we have our circle, I'm going to show you how to make single crochets in the round. So what you want to do is you just want to go under the magic ring yarn, circle yarn, and you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to pull back through. So you have 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to go through 2 loops on your hook like you would a single crochet. Okay, so that is 1 single crochet. And you're going to do this 6 times. So go under the magic ring, yarn over, go back under the magic ring, yarn over, and then go through the 2, yarn over and go through the 2 loops on your hook. So that's 2. So you want to do this 6 times. Okay, so I should have 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6th one is always a little harder to see, that first one. But you just want to make sure that it is there and that you did count it. Okay, then you want to take your yarn that is your beginning yarn, the shorter end, and you want to pull it tight. Okay, that is how you know you made your magic ring correctly, is when you could pull that tight. And now we're going to make a slip stitch, and we're going to do that into the first single crochet stitch that we have here. So we're going to go through the 2 loops. Sometimes you kind of have to help it a little bit, and then you're going to yarn over, go back through the 2 loops. Instead of yarning over, you're just going to take that first loop and you're going to tuck it underneath that last loop. So now you have 6 single crochet stitches in a circle here. And that is how you start in the round. So in the round, you also have to bear in mind about increases so that you can increase your project outwards. So you first want to make sure that you have your 6 stitches here for single crochet, and then for each row you're going to increase by 6. So in the next stitch you're going to insert your hook, the 2 loops on the top, yarn over, go through or go under the 2 loops, so you have the 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through. So that's 1. So now you're actually going to make another single crochet in that same stitch. Okay, so you want to go through the single crochet tops of the stitch, yarn over, go back under the top of that single crochet from the last row, and then you want to yarn over and then go through the 2 stitches like you make a single crochet. And you're going to do that for every top of the single crochet stitch. You're just going to do 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch. You should end with 12 single crochet stitches. All right, so as you can see here, I have 12 single crochet stitches in this round, and the middle kind of came a little loose. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take my yarn from the beginning and I'm just going to tighten it a little bit. You don't want to tighten it so much that the yarn breaks, but you just want to pull a little tight. And see, now it is going to lay flat. Now, I did say for single crochet, you want to increase by 6 each round. So if you're going to do a 3rd round, you would do 2 single crochet stitches in the first one, and then just 1 single crochet in the next, and then just repeating that every 2 stitches. 2 1 2 1. And then the 4th round, you're going to do 2 single crochet stitches in one, so a single crochet increase, and then a single crochet, and then a single crochet. Now, it also depends on if you're going to be beginning with single crochet or half double crochet or double crochet. It depends on how many stitches you're going to make in the middle. For single crochet, standard is usually 6 that you start with. For half double crochet, generally I see 10 as the base before you go into the 2nd round. And then for double crochet, which I will go over with you, is 12. So let me get my magic ring set up again and I will do a double crochet with you. All right, so I have my magic ring on my hook again, and now I'm going to show you how to do double crochet in the round. So the ones that I generally see most in the round is going to be single crochet and double crochet. So now to do double crochet in the round, once you have your magic ring, you're going to make 2 chains. So yarn over, go through the loop, yarn over, and then go through the loop. Okay, and now once you have that, you're going to yarn over and you're going to make a double crochet into the ring. Okay, yarn over, go back under the ring, and then you're going to yarn over and go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops. So we just made a double crochet in the ring, and now we're going to repeat that for the rest of this round. Yarn over, go through the ring, yarn over, go under the ring, yarn over, go through 2 loops, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go under the ring, yarn over, go under the ring, yarn over, go through 2 loops, go through 2 loops. So you're going to do this 11 times. Now I say 11 because when you're chaining 2, generally that counts as the first double crochet. Sometimes other pattern creators, myself included, will say to just skip the chains because sometimes in projects it creates like this weird line and it's very visible. So sometimes we just say to also double crochet 12 and then skip the chains and then slip stitch to the first double crochet. It just depends on the pattern, so make sure that you read the first couple rounds very carefully. All right, so I have my 11 double crochets here, so I'm going to pull my ring tight, and I'm going to, instead of going into the first double crochet here, I'm going to count these chains as a double crochet stitch. So I'm actually going to go through the hole in between the chains and the double crochet, and I'm going to yarn over and go back under, and then I'm going to make a slip stitch. So instead of yarning over, I'm just going to take that first loop and I'm going to go through the second loop. So now I have it secure into a circle, so I could pull my beginning yarn tighter. So now it is a complete circle and there's very little hole in the middle. So from there, what I like to do to start my next round is I chain 2. Now again, I always say I like to chain 2, some creators like to chain 3, so again, test it out and see what works for you when you're making your double crochets. But anyway, you want to chain 2, and then you're going to make a double crochet increase into the next stitch. So you want to double crochet twice. Okay, so that is a double crochet increase where you have the 2 double crochets into 1 double crochet stitch. Now, depending on the pattern and the maker, they might have you do 1 double crochet stitch right where you made the chains and then move on to the next stitch. Again, it's all in the pattern maker and what they prefer. So I like to just kind of skip over my chains like I've said before. So for this one, since I used it as a double crochet, I'll probably make my final double crochet into that slip stitch and then just slip stitch to the chains so that there's not like a big hole, because sometimes that can happen, but that's just the method that I use sometimes. Okay, so like I said, with the single crochet, you're going to start with 6 single crochets in a magic ring. For double crochet, you're going to have 12. So that means by the time that you're done with the second round, you should have 24 double crochet stitches, and you're going to slip stitch to either the chain or the double crochet depending on the pattern, and then you're going to increase by 12 in each round. So for this one, it'd be 2 stitches in each stitch, and then for round 3, it'd be 2 double crochet stitches in one, and then 1 double crochet stitch in the next, and then just repeating that. And then the following round would be 2 double crochet stitches in one, and then a double crochet stitch, and then a double crochet stitch singularly in the next 2 stitches. So that is just how you increase with the magic ring. And then at any point when you decide this is as round as I want, that is when you can just, instead of increasing, you can then just do as many stitches per round that you have to make it like tubular or round, and then you could start decreasing. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to make a decrease in single crochet. It is probably the most common decrease that you're going to see. So I have a round here of 24 single crochet stitches. I say that this is going to be the most common one that you're going to see because it is the one that you're probably going to be using more often when you're doing plushies or amigurumi or anything that is stuffed, because you're generally using single crochet stitches versus half double or double crochet stitches. Those are generally used for blankets, which you don't have to do decreases for, or clothing, which you will have to do decreases for, but generally you won't have to use it unless you're making those items. So to begin making a decrease, you're going to combine 2 single crochet stitches together, and that is going to be the same for if you're doing this in half double and double crochet. It's just the process is a little bit different. So what I like to do for my decreases is I like to just insert my hook into the nearest stitch, yarn over, go back through the first stitch, so I should have 2 loops on my hook, and then I like to go through the tops of the second stitch, yarn over, go back through the stitch, and now I have 3 stitches on my hook. So I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops on my hook, and then since this is 24, I'm just going to be doing a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to combine the next 2 single crochet stitches by inserting my hook again, yarning over, pulling a loop through the top of the stitch, and then going back through the top of the second stitch, yarning over, going through the top of that second stitch, and ending up with 3 loops on my hook, yarning over, and going through all 3 loops. So this is just how I do it. I know that there are different ways to do decreases. I will say that this way is the easiest for beginners, but it does create like a little bump. It is hardly noticeable to tell that that's where the decrease is. But there are other things that are called like invisible decreases, which makes it a little bit harder to see, but to be honest, you will probably always be able to tell where a decrease is when you're crocheting. So I just made 2 single crochet stitches, and I'm going to show you how to make a decrease one more time. So go through the top 2 loops of the first stitch, yarn over, go back under the loops of the stitch, so you should have 2 loops on your hook, go through the second stitch, the top of it, yarn over, and then pull that through so that you have 3 loops on your hook. So you could kind of tell now that it is starting to want to curl up, which means it is closing in on itself, which is perfect because that is exactly what we want to do when we're making decreases. All right, so with this one ball of yarn and my hook here, I have been able to teach you how to make a slip knot, chains, single crochet, double crochet, and half double crochet in rows, as well as how to make a magic ring and single crochet and double crochet into the magic ring, as well as making slip stitches to close off your rounds. So those are all beginner friendly stitches, and I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. If you liked it, please hit like, subscribe, and reference this video whenever you need it for my crochet projects. Have a great day.